Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Alright, I want to spend the next 10 minutes or so talking about easily one of my favourite fighters, Mr. Fabio Wardley. It's fantastic, isn't he? What a story. What an incredible story. And I actually think this story's still got a few more chapters to run. I think it's going to surprise a few people in the next 12 to 18 months. I think he's fantastic outside the ring as well as inside the ring. Outside the ring, he's charismatic, he's witty, he's funny, he's really good on the mic as well. Like every time he's on a broadcast, I think he adds value to that broadcast. I've been begging DAZN to get him on the February 22nd card, just because as a presenter, you want a pundit that will give you something. Like you want to throw a question to a pundit, you don't want one word answers, you want like 45 seconds or a minute. And trust me when I say not a lot of pundits give you that. Fabio gives you that. So he's good outside the ring. Inside the ring, I think we all know that he's pretty destructive. He's scary and he fights one way. And I also think that because there is no amateur background, the one way in which he fights is beneficial to him. Like, I almost feel like when you have a big amateur pedigree, you can overthink stuff. Because he doesn't have that in his catalogue, he just fights one way, and that one way is to kill. Honestly, it's like you hurt him, he wants to hurt you back. Very reminiscent of like a Nigel Benn. Like Nigel Benn was always dangerous when he was hurt. And I feel like Fabio is a bit like that as well. You hit him, and whereas an amateur might want to, I don't know, see out the round, you hit Fabio, Fabio wants to hit you. And that could be dangerous as he goes into the next category of fighters. But so far, so good. He's also starting to get a bit of a following. Obviously, he's a big Ipswich Town fan. For those of you that don't follow football, Ipswich Town is a team in the Premier League. They've got behind him. His dream is to fight at Portman Road, and I think it's a dream that could happen this year. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if Fabio Wardley fights at Portman Road. When he was with me the other day, it was me, him and Frank, and I mentioned it, and they both kind of smiled at each other, and I was like, interesting. So yeah, look, he's good on the mic, he's good outside the ring, he's fantastic inside the ring, and he's got a bit of a following. That's the recipe for a superstar. You don't really need much else. Look, Fabio hasn't fought since he beat Fraser Clark, and I've been pushing him like, oh, what's going on? Like, what next? I mean, who are we fighting? And he's kind of been non-committal about an opponent, but he did say that he's likely to come back. I think he said May or June, which kind of, again, goes to my theory that he could fight at Portman Road because the season will be over and it'll be summer. And you can have an outdoor stadium fight. All right, I've got a list of names. Some might surprise you, some might not. But again, where he is right now, I mean, he's ranked quite high in every single governing body. Some of these names, I think, make sense. Some of these names make sense. All right, first name, Filip Hrgović. I think it's a fight that would do well. Hrgović is no longer the boogeyman, although I think still very, very dangerous. And then you can make the comparison to how Fabio fights him and how Dubois fought him. So I think Filip Hrgović is a great name. I still think there is something left in Filip Hrgović. He's obviously taken a long time out after this Dubois defeat, and he's going to want the next step to be a right one. And if he were to come over here and beat up Fabio Wardley, he's kind of back, isn't he? He's kind of back. So Filip Hrgović is a name. You're not going to like the next name, but I'm telling you now, I think this fight could happen. There's something in it. They're both signed to the same promoter. It's an in-house fight. Lawrence Okolie. Obviously, look, Lawrence Okolie has got Richard Riakporhe. Lawrence Okolie has mentioned Fabio Wardley to me. Lawrence Okolie has got Richard Riakporhe. I think Lawrence is going to get past Richard Riakporhe. And then I can see this one happening. And you know what? I'm telling you now, Fabio Wardley won't make this a boring fight. Because a lot of you will say, oh, it's going to be quite boring. Fabio Wardley will make Lawrence Okolie fight. And that could make it into something interesting. Fabio Wardley probably walks around lighter than Lawrence Okolie. So in terms of size, they kind of match up quite well. I don't mind it. Honestly, I don't mind it. A former world champion at cruiserweight, former world champion at bridgerweight. I know a lot of you don't put stock into that, against Fabio Wardley. So that's number 2. Number 3, Jarrell Miller, the big dog. This risky. But I mean, you want those big fights. Jarrell Miller almost, he won't thank me for saying he's a gatekeeper, but there's part of me that thinks if you beat Jarrell Miller, then I think you're in that kind of world-class bracket. Because I think Jarrell Miller is a bit of a problem. And it is because of his size, his confidence. he's got fast hands, he's got fast feet. For a guy that big, he actually maneuvers around the ring quite well. So I think Jarrell Miller is a test, but Jarrell Miller is the type of fight that will do Portman Road, because Jarrell Miller will come over and you know exactly what you're getting. You give Jarrell Miller the mic, that motherfucker is selling that fight. You know it. And I think he's happy to kind of be the bad guy, whereas Fabio is happy to be the nice guy. And sometimes you need an opposite. So I think Jarrell Miller will sell the fight well, and I think it will be a big fight at Portman Road. It's risky, but again, they're all risky. Andy Ruiz. Now, I said Andy Ruiz to Fabio, and he was like, oh, that wasn't on our list. Obviously, he's gone through a list of fighters, and he says, oh, that wasn't on our list. But it's like, I like it. I like it as well. I mean, Andy Ruiz, former world champion. I no idea what Andy's doing right now. Obviously, look, he got injured in the fight against Jarrell Miller. I saw him tweet something about fighting Canelo, and I'm like, dude, fighting Jake Paul. And I was like, dude, let's just get serious. I love it. I love it. I think Andy's now 35. On paper, Andy's a bit too good for Fabio, but where is this Andy? Like, if Andy is anything like the Andy that beat AJ, he's too experienced, his hand speed's too good, and he's got some good punch power as well. I don't know where Andy is. And look, again, with Fabio, all of these are risky. All of them, even they're all risky. But I think this is it now. You're moving into that next level of fighters. Like, these fighters are just below the very top dogs. So I'm not saying Martin Bakode, I'm not saying Usyk, I'm not saying Dubois. These are the echelon below that. And I think Andy's in that, and I think Fabio's wanting to get into that. Kind of makes sense for me. Last one, Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson. A couple of big babies on there. Big baby Miller, big baby Anderson. Why not? Why not? I like it. Again, another guy. And look, Fabio might have to travel for this one. But these are all fights that I think should be on Fabio's radar for 2025. Not Kubrat Pulev. Again, I understand the Kubrat Pulev link, because Kubrat Pulev, I think, is a regular champion now, having beaten Manuel Char. So it puts Fabio in a position where if he were to beat Kubrat Pulev, I dare say Fabio could fight Alexander Usyk. I mean, that's kind of what could happen, right? Unless Usyk vacates. But Fabio's putting himself in a position where he could fight for a world title by the back end of the year if he fights Kubrat Pulev. I just don't like it. It's not a sexy fight. Andy Ruiz is a sexy fight. Jarrell Miller is a sexy fight. Okoli, sexy-ish. Hrgovic, great fight. Anderson, sexy fight. These are all big names that propel, I think, Fabio Wardley to the next level. That's what I think. Who would you, of that list, Ruiz, Miller, Okoli, Hrgovic, Anderson, who would you like to see Fabio Wardley fight? Let me know. All right, very quickly, before we wrap, let's see if there's anything else today. All right, Canelo Alvarez on course to be replaced in Vegas on Cinco de Mayo by Inoue. I'll tell you this now. Inoue cannot replace Canelo in Vegas. Like, forget about it. The Mexicans that turn up for Canelo. Like, really and truly, if Inoue is fighting, he should really be fighting in New York. That's where a lot of the Asian population is. It kind of makes sense. New York, Madison Square Garden, and then he could probably sell that place out. Vegas, I don't know my geography too well, but I don't know how many Asians reside in Vegas, and I don't know how many of the casual fans will go and watch Inoue and fill up the T-Mobile Arena or the MGM Grand or whatever. So yeah, he ain't replacing no Canelo in Vegas. I don't know, the want to push him to fight in America is kind of bothering me, considering how good he does in Asia. I don't understand the want, especially if there isn't a big American name for him to fight. I said this before, but he's not going to fight Bam next. He's not going to fight Javante, although some people seem to still want that. The fight's Nakatani. That's the fight to make. That's an Asian fight. All right, go where your market is. Do you know what I mean? Keith Thurman doesn't rule out Terence Crawford's chances, calls Canelo Alvarez slow. Canelo's not slow, man. I mean, he's not. Fucking Canelo is fast. Is he slower than Crawford? Yes, but we haven't seen Crawford with 160 pounds or 168 pounds. So let's see how fast Crawford is at 38, carrying an extra 15 or so pounds. But Canelo is not a slow fighter. I think people have got that twisted, and they really have. By the way, we're not really speaking about this as much. Berencic versus Keyshawn Davis. I mean, Top Rank needs to do a bit better, don't they? They need to do a bit better because, I mean, Keyshawn's fucking good, man. Keyshawn's very, very good, but he's not getting the push that he needs. I've seen him that he's been doing the media rounds, and hopefully starting to get some love, because Keyshawn could beat the lot, you know. I'll say it now. Keyshawn could beat the lot. And I'm talking Javonte. I'm talking Shakur. Obviously, there's this thing with Andy Cruz. Keyshawn could be the best out of them all. Let's see how he gets on against Berenchik, who is a very, very solid fighter. A final one. Edgar Berlanga, Jonathan Gonzalez have joined the Amma Williams show. I think it's going to be co-main event. I'm sorry. That's Edgar Berlanga's last fight. He owes Matchroom the Pacheco fight. Matchroom delivered him Canelo. And this is his last fight, by the way. So whether or not he re-ups with Matchroom or just stays a free agent, I don't know. He owes them Pacheco. It should be Berlanga versus Pacheco after this. And I don't think we're going to get it. And if we don't get it, it's down to one man and one man only. Berlanga, because we know Pacheco wants it. All right, guys, girls, we are done. Talk to me about Fabio Wardley. Peace.